What's up, everyone? Matt Gajewski here, back again with the Odd Shopper channel. And today we're talking some Week 12 college football, the Friday slate. Before we get started, make sure to hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notifications so you know when this and all of the content goes live. If you've done that, thank you. We are also brought to you by Bet365, and they have a deal for you right now where you can bet $5 in any game, side, or total. Whether it wins or loses, you are getting $150 in the form of bonus bets. And you can get something additional if you head over to Odd Shopper, go up to that Tails Marketplace. It'll have a little pop down and it'll say get Marketplace for free. Basically, what you'll do is click these claim offer deals for Bet365. It's the same deal I just mentioned. But if you scroll up to the top and take advantage of that deal using these, steps, I guess, you're going to get the Marketplace for free for 1 month. In addition to whatever that bonus was with Bet365, it's the 150. There's BetMGM. If you take advantage of multiple of these, that's multiple months. Tons of content creators on there. There's definitely something for every single sports fan, so make sure you take advantage of this. It's a limited time offer. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, please call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. You must be 21 or older to play. All right, I'm going to bring you to our live odds screen. We have a 4-pack on deck for this Friday night Week 12 slate of games, and some decent ones overall. We'll start, I guess, in the Mountain West, where we have sort of a lame duck conference with UNLV and Boise at the top, but Wyoming takes on Colorado State. The spread in this game is about 10 points. The total is 48 in most spots. There are some things to like, I think, overall. Both these teams have been super run heavy this year, which has been a big difference compared to last year, especially for Colorado State. Pace is really slow. 75th is Wyoming. Colorado State 119th. Defenses are a little suspect. I'll start with injuries for both of these teams. Wyoming, Alex Brown has been out at receiver. Devin Bodie at wide receiver. Wes King at guard is out for the year. Sorry, Wes, he's from my hometown. Got to give him a shout out. Sebastian Harsh at defensive end is doubtful. Braden Siders, he's doubtful at the same position. They haven't had Ian Bell at corner or Andrew Johnson. Those are more depth pieces, but a lot of injuries for this team. The other big thing with Wyoming is they did make a quarterback change to Caden Anderson. Svoboda is still getting a few snaps, but it's basically just designed rushing stuff for him at this point. This has made a big difference for their offense. The big problem with Svoboda is he did not know who was on his own team. Repeated interceptions. Anderson has 4 turnover-worthy plays. It's on limited action this year, but he also has 8 big-time throws, 9.5 yards per attempt, 63% completion. I will say his first start did come against New Mexico, who might have the worst defense in the entire country, so I don't think the book is written on him yet. For Colorado State, Torrey Horton, their star wide receiver, Dylan Goffney at wide receiver, Jacob Gardner at center is questionable. On defense, Jack Howell at safety and Jalen Gardner at safety. They're healthier. They also are significantly different than last year, which is wild. Braden Fowler Nicolosi has been terrible this year. 62% completion, 7.3 yards per attempt, 8 turnover-worthy plays, and they have just – last year they were passing over 60% of the time. This year they're closer to 40, and when they get a lead, this is even closer to like 30 or 20% in some spots. Their O-line has been awesome. They are 11th in pass blocking and 8th in run blocking. It is a significant strength for this team, which makes sense why they're running the ball so much. On Wyoming's defense, they are 77th overall, 73rd against the run, 84th in coverage. This is a massive mismatch. And with Wyoming's injuries on this side of the ball, it's going to be very hard for them to stop this Colorado State offense, really in any regard. This is one of the better teams in the Mountain West, even if they can't live up to the Boise's or UNLVs. On the other side of the ball, Wyoming has been a disaster, and it's not just at quarterback. Their O-line has been balanced towards run blocking. They're 28th. But they're 91st in pass blocking. They just lost one of their starters, Wes King, for the year. He's one of their better starters. And they're facing a pretty tough matchup. They haven't been able to throw the ball, and the strength of Colorado State's defense is up front, where they rank 37th against the run. This is sort of a matchup kind of tailor-made for Colorado State in this spot. I mean, there are definitely concerns with both teams' scheduling, first of all. Like, this is a really weak conference. So Colorado State's tough games this year, they got slaughtered by Texas and Colorado. They played games pretty close to UTEP. It was a 10-point game. They won, but still not great. They lost to Oregon State. They did have a 60% post-game win expectancy, but these are all very close games, single digits. the Air Force. I mean, it doesn't get much worse. With that said, Wyoming, coming off their first win against New Mexico, this team has been absolutely bludgeoned repeatedly. It has gotten a little better of late. Utah State was just a 2-point game. San Jose lost by 10. San Diego State lost by 3. It's just hard to buy this team in their current edition right now. Show value on the Colorado State side if you're taking a spread. Second game on the docket is North Texas taking on UTSA. 2-point spread in most spots. Total in the game is 72.5 points. My goodness. Pace is awesome. 2 top 10 offenses in seconds per play. North Texas 4th, UTSA 9th. I cannot believe that UTSA won their last game against Memphis, considering their injuries. This team has one of the longest injury lists I've ever seen. They have 3 starters on their offensive line. So many players have been hurt on that unit. I'm not sure who they even intended to start. At pass catchers, Jaron Randall, DeCorian Clark, Willie McCoy, he should be back. He missed their last game because of the birth of his child. Devin McEwen's out. Oster Cardenas at tight end is out. I mean, this team is basically playing with, I don't even know who's out there playing receiver. I do, but like these are not guys that were ever intended to play. Memphis allowed them to score points on them. On defense, no Joe Evans. Nick Booker Brown was arrested in the offseason. Zoff Frazier at corner. Denver Harris at corner warmed up but didn't play. Zach Morris at corner. Ken Robinson at safety. Some depth pieces behind them. Marcellus Wilkerson, Jimmy Wyrick at safety. What in the world was Memphis doing? They played a team full of backups, and UTSA is not good to begin with. They were 3-5 heading into the game, and Memphis lost. This Memphis team just lost to Tulsa. Tulsa just lost to UAB. We don't want to play the transitive property, but what in the world? Like, I don't even know what to do with this data point. On the other side, North Texas is much healthier, which is saying a lot. They don't have their tight end Oscar Hammond and a couple depth O-line pieces, and their secondary has been a mess all year because of arrests. But they did return B.J. Allen, at least one of their starters who was arrested in the offseason, which I guess is positive, but they have a ton of leaks there. They're the healthier team, and it's pretty significant. So I don't know what to make of this. Really, you have, I think, just the better overall team in North Texas in this spot. Defense is a major question for them. Owen McCown has actually played well on the other side. As long as he's not throwing to like walk-ons, they should be able to move the ball. I think he has 20 touchdowns, 4 picks, only 9 turnover-worthy plays, so he's doing a great job there. The O-line is terrible for this team. We already mentioned the injuries, 101st in pass blocking, 84th in run blocking. There's no good receivers. So I think even North Texas might be able to get some stops, and they have a terrible secondary. But I don't see UTSA getting many stops at all. Even though this team is 51st in total defense, they played a weaker schedule. They have a ton of injuries themselves, and now they're facing one of the better quarterbacks on their schedule in Chandler Morris, who has a full complement of his skill position players. They've now got back Damon Ward, DT Sheffield's there. Running back is a mess for them, as is their offensive line, but luckily Morris's mobility masks a lot of this. So to -2, fine with North Texas. They are the side to look to. Game 3, UCLA. What a resurgence they've had. Taking on Washington. The spread is consensus 4. You could find 3.5s if you wanted it. You could find 4.5s. And the total in this game is 47 points. UCLA has played better. They're coming off 2 straight wins. They beat Nebraska by 7 points, and then they just beat Iowa, who benched Brendan Sullivan and went to their third stringer Stratton in the game. They won by 3. Unbelievable. Washington, meanwhile, beat USC but lost to Penn State. They've lost 3 of their last 4, but those games came against Iowa, who's basically the trickiest team to evaluate right now. Indiana and Penn State, their lone win being against USC. So it's a pretty strong strength of schedule of late, whereas UCLA has not played that. Their last 4 are against Minnesota, Rutgers, Nebraska, and Iowa. And I'm sorry, they've won 3 straight, not 2 straight. But there's still so many concerns with UCLA that I'm definitely not buying this team long-term. Power rating-wise, this team is 108th on defense. They just have played 3 incompetent offenses in a row. Washington, they did bench Will Rogers in their last game. He's been named the starter again this week. It looks like they're going to go back to him. He actually hasn't had a terrible season. 71.5% completion, 8.1 yards per attempt. He's right on par with like the amount of turnover-worthy plays getting turned in interceptions. He doesn't have a high turnover-worthy play rate. Demond Williams is a good rusher, but he didn't provide anything as far as a spark in the offense. Passing-wise last week, they just played a good defense. It was Penn State. They're outmatched. But in this game, they shouldn't be. With UCLA, they still have some injuries. Most of them are on offense, but on defense, Gary Smith at defensive tackle, Keanu Williams at defensive tackle, Kanye Clark. Kayan Moore only got 6 snaps in their last game, but he's been practicing. On offense, I don't know how this team won last week. Rico Flores missed. J. Michael Sturdivant missed. Ruben Unigier has been out for literally the whole year. Moliki Matavao missed at tight end. Nicky Prongos got hurt in the game. He's their left tackle. This team is not at 100%, and they're actually not as healthy as Washington. The big difference is Washington has the much better defense. We mentioned UCLA. They're 108th overall. They don't really have a strength. They're outside the top 100. In most key metrics, they are better in coverage, where they rank 59th. It's by far their best unit. Washington is strong everywhere on defense. They're 49th overall, particularly in coverage, and this is an Eric Bieniemy offense on the other side. Then all they want to do is throw the ball. Offensive lines for both teams are questionable. They really don't have much difference. UCLA 121st pass blocking, Washington 127th. UCLA 104th in run blocking, Washington 108th. The big difference is the quarterback play. Ethan Garbers versus Will Rogers. Rogers has been better. The skill position players, you have TJ Harden versus Jonah Coleman. Strong advantage Jonah Coleman's way. And then receiver. Not only is UCLA banged up, but you have a healthy Washington on the other side with Boston and Giles. Just the better team overall. UCLA, given 3.5 points, makes a lot of sense here. You can still take this number. I think Washington playing at home is the side to look at in this spot. Last one up, and probably the trickiest, Houston takes on Arizona. This is a 1-point spread. You can find 1.5 if you're interested in Houston. That number's actually come down a little bit. Arizona opened -2, so Houston's taking some money. The total in the game currently sits at 45.5 points, which is interesting. Houston plays very, very slow. They're 127th in pace, but Arizona is modest at 69th. Big differences for these two teams recently. Houston made the quarterback change to Zion Chris. That has drastically altered their offense. They're basically not passing at all. We've seen games where they're in the 20% for pass rate, and that makes sense. Chris is an awesome dual threat. He's also taking care of the ball more than Donovan Smith. Now, maybe that's just because they aren't throwing the ball quite as much, but this is still a very injured team. They have multiple starters on the offensive line, multiple running backs, Marquise Shoulders at receiver, couple defenders, but it's not much better for Arizona, who is down 4 starters in the offensive line. They just lost Rhino Tapa Atutai at tackle. Sorry, Rhino, I don't know how to say your name. But on defense, it's even worse for this team. Chuba Maye has been out at defensive line. Traden Stukes, Gunnar Maldonado, those aren't new, but they did just lose Jacob Manu, their best linebacker. He's now out for the year as well. So just a disaster of a unit. And Houston is playing much better. This needs to at least be taken into account. They're coming off 2 straight wins. The Utah one was pretty mad because it's Utah. But then they beat Kansas State. And it wasn't the prettiest game, but they did just enough to get it done. Arizona has been a disaster. They just got blown out by UCF, lost to West Virginia by 5 points, blown out by Colorado, blown out by BYU, Texas Tech by 6. They haven't won a game since Utah in week 5. Underlying metrics, they're not good for either team. They do slightly favor Arizona in this spot. On defense, Houston's a little better. They're 89th. Arizona's 113th. But Houston has an awesome matchup. 99th in defense. Run defense is Arizona. So Chris, whatever running backs are healthy, should be able to find success on the ground for this team. Arizona's throwing the ball a fair amount. Houston is better in their secondary. They rank 66th. Then all you really have to do is stop Ted McMillan, and the entire Arizona offense crumbles into dust. And the offensive efficiency difference is Houston at 117th, Arizona at 79th. When you look at the splits between these two teams, especially Houston, first half of the year to second when they made the QB change, it looks a lot better from them. Offensive line, honestly, comparable for both teams. Houston is interesting to me. I don't love the number, but they're the side that I prefer. That'll do it for us today with the Friday night slate. Betting U is already out for all the Saturday games, so check that out. If I miss anything, please leave a comment below or reach out to me on Twitter at @_Gajewski. My DMs are open. And until next time, good luck, everyone. We'll see you later.